Okay, now I'm live, hopefully. Goofed up a minute ago. I had it scheduled to go live and it didn't want to go live with me. So hopefully everybody catches this. We'll see if everybody can get in here on this. Hope they're not trying to wait on the other one to get started. I don't know. I'll find out in a second. Find out in a second if people jump up. I may have Joey sitting over on the other side waiting. That's what Joey said he did last time. I've done this before, but evidently that scheduling doesn't always work. I don't know. All right. Hopefully the chat will get started and get a few people in here. We'll check and see. Oh, dang it. Watch me have it messed up again. If I have it messed up, guys, I'm sorry. I do not know. I can't, there's no way for me to check it out and see. I guess I could get on with another computer. Let me see if I can get on with this computer over here and check out and see if I got it started over there. That stream, it didn't start up immediately, so I'm not certain. See if this computer will fire up. I don't know if I hit the right button. All right, I see some people in. Hey, Aaron. Yeah, I think I goofed up on the chatting this morning. I started one and had it scheduled, and it didn't start up, and I hit the wrong button and basically took it out. I think, I don't know. I'm trying to see if there's another one that's on schedule there for this other computer, and I can get it going. Yeah, me. Hope everything's going all right down your way. Yeah. Well, what I've got, I started another one. I pre-do it and type everything in, and I had it started. I don't know if it's up and kind of holding people off from starting or not. It's crazy. YouTube.
Welcome back.
Uh-oh.
So today brought home the storm responder generator.
What the heck is this thing doing?
$100, and according to the seller, it has a blown engine. It's good.
Okay, let me try to get this
repair. So
whatever
case,
this is.
a lot of good parts that I can use on other projects, but of course, my hope is I can repair this one. Now, the only thing
I got another YouTube going here.
Pull the engine over. Just
let me. I'm just trying to get on my YouTube schedule over there. Sorry about that. That was another YouTube thing going in the background. Oh, okay. You're in Savannah this morning, are you? Savannah's a pretty place. I like Savannah. I used to have the trucks down there in Savannah with FedEx, but yeah, I like Savannah. It's a pretty place. That, and we had a place over at Hilton Head. It was real nice. Weather's probably nice down there today, isn't it, Aaron? Yeah, it'd be nice to be out on the beach right now, I think, down there at Hilton Head. But I'm also happy to be up here on the farm, so I can't complain. I can't complain. Let me double check my internet here again. I'm gonna scoot over here and check my internet on on this one to see if I got a second channel. Okay, it's got the one running, and let me see if it's got the other one. Let me see if I can make sure I hadn't got a second one going in the background. That's what I'm fearful of. See if I got a second one that people are waiting on. Yep, that's exactly what I've got. Let me see if I can close it out. If I can close this one out, I'll be all right. Oh, I've got it somewhat closed out there a little bit. All right. Hey, Jamie. I'm doing okay. How about yourself? I had two podcasts going at the same time there, or I had a scheduled one and this one going on. I had it corrected on the other computer and try to keep things straight here. Hey, James. Good morning to you too. Yeah, I'm trying to get things straightened out this morning. Trying to get some things straightened out anyway. Thought I had it all scheduled up real pretty and neat, and I goofed up right there at the last minute. I might have to go back to the old way I do it I was trying a new way of scheduling it, and it didn't work the way I wanted it to. So I'll have to go back just to the old way. Yeah, I am the director and producer and the cameraman and everything. So that y'all have to, you get what you get with me. I don't have any hired guns. If anybody's holding the camera, it's probably Barbara. But there's nobody involved with my productions other than me and you'll see me and Jim on videos and me and Barbara, and occasionally maybe my grandson will help me. And that's that sort of stuff, but it's just me. So if I goof up, it's me. There's only one person to blame. Yeah, I goofed up. I'm one to, if things goof up, it's because of me. It's not because of anybody else. I'm the guy. I'm 100% the guy that does things right or wrong. So whatever you get with me. I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm enjoying this weather. Barbara and I have been able to get out and do some work in the yard, and here on the farm, we got a bunch of our grass out here in the pasture is really getting high. We need to get it mowed. I've got some timber guys going to come cut my timber. I got about 20 acres of pines that I need to cut off and cut down, and then we're just going to clean up around here and see what we can get done. But it is what it is. Well, I hope everybody else is doing fine. Y'all let me know what's going on with y'all, and we'll discuss some of that. Yeah, I know they do sometimes. But it's inevitable. I've got to get the timber. The timber's at the age. I mean, these trees are about 35 to 40 years old, and they need to be. We already thinned them one time about 10 or 15 years ago, and I need to get the rest of them now because it's that time. I mean, it is what it is. It's time to get the timber off of there, and I'm gonna get some of the timber down here below the shop too. and trying to clean it up and just clean up around my farm. I mean, that's what it takes sometimes. You got to make a mess sometimes, and yeah, to clean up things too. Yeah, well, I'm gonna try to put it in rows if I can, but it is what it is. It a lot of times these planters, when they plant them back, they don't take the time. I mean, it's not going to be cleared. We're not going to clear cut it anyway. So it's they'll have to work around what we have. And the guy that's doing the cutting, and he's talked about it too. You can't get in there and stump it all. If you spend 3 times as much money stumping it as you do getting the wood off. So it's sort of non-productive. And what they do, they just let the stuff rot, and then they'll replant around it. And then, let nature take its course, let the stuff rotting away and the stumps rot and everything else, and go back for another growth in a few years. And that's the progression with the timbers like that. And if you try to do it any other way, they talk about it's a money losing proposition, and you know it'd be tough to do. But we'll see. I'll be taking some photographs of it and everything. I'm gonna try to video it and everything, because I need to video it to make sure how many trucks are going in and out. That's one thing for certain. I'm gonna be counting my trucks. Well, yeah, the pine. I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're logging it. I mean, they're going to log it, take it, and ship it to the. I mean, I'm not going to. It's a non-touch thing for me. I'm not going to touch anything. They're logging it and taking it, and you know, they'll do it, all the stripping of everything, and you know, and then it's going to be for me to clean up behind it, what I get cleaned up behind it. But this 15, 20 acres is far enough away from my house that it's not going to bother me. And so I won't have to look at it that much, you might say. I'll leave some border trees out there so I can look at the border, and then everything behind it we're not going to worry about. But we're going to take as much as we can and get her cleaned out and that sort of stuff. So we're ready to take the trees out and see what we can do. We got about 15 or 20 acres just in that spot. And it's off to a distance from my house and everything. I mean, I can see the edge of it from my house, but it's not that dominant. And it's sort of the corner of my property. So it's really not going to be an eyesore for me. And it's actually going to be an eyesore more for one of my neighbors across the way. It's going to be close up to his house, but it is what it is. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, Jamie. I'm going to validate the trucks that go in and out, because I mean, I want to know how many trucks are going in and out. I mean, that's it, plain and simple. So I'm gonna probably set a couple of cameras with recorders and everything going in and out, and I can count them. Hey Zach, how's everything down under? Hey Chris. Oh yeah, we got. I'm not going to do a complete clear cut, Chris. We're going to cut it down. I'm going to leave some of the border so I can have some buffer and everything, but we're going to cut most of it, and get in there and get the hardwood and the pine and everything else. it's grown up for the past 35, 40 years. So it needs cutting back. And if not, it's going to start dying out and rotting and falling, and I'll have a mess on my hands. I mean, I've already got that in some areas that I can see. So, we got to go in there and uh, do it the conservation way. So that's what you have to look at. Well, I'm hoping to clean up you're always my goal is always to improve my property, so we'll see what we've got. Yeah, I know it. And that's what happens. We surveyed some old oak that I had, and the oak are so big. I mean, even the tree limbs on those oaks were so large they couldn't even use them. It was just uh, they weren't straight enough, and he was talking about he probably couldn't get 8 or 10 foot of board out of some of those, even though they were probably 40 inches around. And when you get some that 40 and 50 inches around, uh, those loggers can't handle that. I mean, they're set up to log something that's you know uh, 25 to 30 inches around, and if it gets bigger than that, it's hard for them to handle it. So you have to manage it. You have to make sure and get the uh, wood at the right time, and that's what I'm trying to do with this. Yeah, I've got a flail mower. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm gonna be using. I'm I'm thinking about getting a. I keep looking into the cost of some of these mulchers too, although they're pretty darned expensive. Well, I imagine there is. There's all kind of stuff like that. I've got a stump grinder because I'm not going to get in there and try to grind everything either. But I've got a stump grinder because if I went in there and ground down all the stumps, it would probably take me the rest of my life to grind the stumps down. So I'm gonna let nature just take its course, and then we'll go back there and reseed it and everything. Yeah, that's what I've got. I've got a stump grinder for my toolcat and bobcat. So that's what I got. I can sit in the cab and swing it back and forth and everything. I've had that. I cleaned out a bunch of the stumps going down my road several years ago. Well, I guess about 15 years ago, when we cut off the last cutting of the trees down there. That's what I did. Uh, I bought that stump grinder because I knew it would be cheaper on me to buy the stump grinder at the time than it would to hire somebody to grind all the stumps because I had probably 30 stumps to grind. So I did that years ago, and I'll probably be pulling that out again. I've had that grinder probably 15 years, 14 or 15 years. It's a great grinder. That's right. I sit in the air conditioned cab and tell it to go back and forth and back and forth, and then sit there and listen to the radio and grind away. And it's a lot more pleasant that way than it is standing out there fighting bees and because you have to watch these trees sometimes, and I've had that to happen. You'll be grinding away and you'll hit a yellow jacket's nest that's down in the roots of one of these things, and then they're all over you if you don't watch it. I mean, I had that very thing happen. I mean, I was grinding away, and all of a sudden, I'm swarmed with bees all over the cab, and thank goodness the cab was enclosed and good and tight, and they couldn't get in there. Yeah, yeah. The boss has to approve everything, Jamie. That's for sure. Yeah, yeah. Barbara's the boss. I let her boss me around, tell me to do this, do that. If y'all seen my videos, you've seen her out waving her hands, shaking and pointing at things. I actually got a headset for her, for me and her, so she can actually talk to me when I'm on the different pieces of equipment. Because I keep telling her, I said, I can't understand your hand signs all the time. You need to be able to tell me and holler at me if you want me to stop. Because sometimes she's out of sight. I don't see her, and then she wants me to stop or whatever. Yeah, you got to stay pleasant, uh, and you got to stay in comfort when you're doing some of these chores. That's for sure. And doing one of those grinding stumps is one that you want to have a little bit uh, of nice enclosure to be in. I can tell you that because it'll throw things at you. I mean, I've had it to pop the windshield, and I'm lucky. You got to have a windshield, or well, and I actually got a cage in front of mine too. The grinder itself's got a cage, a see-through cage that comes up that protects the windshield. And you have to have that because it will sling some big pieces. When you're grinding that back and forth, you never know when a big chunk of wood's going to come flying out, and it is dangerous at times. Yeah, yeah, hand signals. Uh, Sometimes you get a lot of them with that middle finger, but that's the one you can understand. But and sometimes you about have to give that one too. Uh, but yeah, hand signals don't always get the job done when you're out trying to communicate with people. That's for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sometimes you can dig them out. Well, digging out stumps is. I mean, it tears up a lot of land. That's the thing about it. I mean, when you're stumping, I mean, and I've stumped before. Get out there and you dig out, and it takes forever sometimes to get some of these big stumps out of the way. I mean, you'll dig and dig and dig, and you don't realize how far out the stump goes, how far the roots go. I mean, these roots are huge sometimes. And then sometimes what will amaze you is some of these big oak trees, how small the root structure is. I mean, you'll think that they got a huge root structure, and sometimes they don't. And of course, that's how they topple. I mean, a lot of them don't have the root structure, and then when they get the big umbrella of the leaves and everything, and their root structure's weak, and then you get a big windstorm. That's how these big oaks come tumbling down. And that happens a lot. We had one in town that very same thing happened, where the tree company, well, it was the city, I guess, had trimmed off one side of the big oak tree because of the power lines, and then when the leaves and everything got up on it, and that tree was leaning a little bit anyway, and we had a big storm a couple of weeks ago, and a pretty straight line wind, and it took it out and went straight across this guy's house, and it made a mess. When Edmund, I remember when the song came out, uh, when Gordon Lightfoot had the song, I I think the Edmund Fitzgerald was somewhere. I'm going to say in the '60s. I think somewhere in the '60s. I mean, I don't remember it. The date didn't hit me up. I mean, the song when the song came out by Gordon Lightfoot, I mean, it told the tale of it. I mean, it probably tells in the song, but that was a tragedy that happened up on the Great Lakes, and out in the Canadian. I think it was a Canadian boat crew. I can't remember, but there's been a movie about it, and of course, like I said, Gordon Lightfoot, who just passed away this past week. He had the song about that, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. And I mean, I was alive. I'm pretty sure that happened in the 60s. But it was one of those things that because I don't live up near the Great Lakes, it wasn't the tragedy. I mean, it probably would have been more in today's news cycle than it was back then. I mean, back then you had three major networks, and it was a shipwreck, and it went down, and it's tragedy. And news was different. Was different when you just had three channels. Back in the day, they had 30 minutes to tell you the news, and did it at 6 o'clock at night, and if you didn't catch it then, you waited till 11 o'clock. Now it's it. Rest of the time, unless it was a huge emergency, you didn't see the news take over the airways like it does now. Now we got with all these cable news networks and everything else, you can't have anything happen without it hitting the newsroom almost. And it's a whole different world out there now with news. Yeah, look it up. You have to look it up. If I remember right, isn't that the one where George Clooney starred in? I believe George Clooney. There was something about something storm, the perfect storm, or something like that was what it was called. I think that's what the movie that depicted that was called. I think it was called The Perfect Storm with George Clooney in it. I think I'm right. I'm not a big movie aficionado, so I can't tell you for sure. But if memory serves me right, that was the movie about it. And I mean, of course, anybody can Google it and find out, I guess. I haven't, like I said, I don't remember it being the national tragedy like other things back when I was young. I mean, I guess it was, the Vietnam War was raging when I was young, and that seemed to take all the national headlines was the Vietnam War. I mean, it was either the war or the protests about the war or the college campuses and things like that. That's what that's what dominated the news back when I was like graduating from high school and going off to college. I mean, I was dead in the middle of that. That's a bad pun to say. I wasn't dead, but I was right in the middle of all that. Okay, it was a different one then, was it? I'm sorry. Now Jamie corrected me. But yeah, that's a different one. But I do remember that one too. I mean, I remember the one. I didn't see it, but I remember that being out there. But Jamie corrected me on that one. Yeah, that was one out of Maine. That's up in his territory. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends, unfortunately, that are dying right now from Vietnam casualties, from Agent Orange. My daughter-in-law's father passed away from he got ALS that they said was contributed. There's a lot of people who get ALS, Parkinson's, and trying to think one of the others that they've gotten because of Agent Orange, and yeah, multiple sclerosis. That's one I was trying to think of. But there's been a lot of guys that have gotten MS or Parkinson's, and also ALS, MS, ALS, and Parkinson's. As some of the diseases that a lot of these people have gotten that were sprayed over in Vietnam with Agent Orange, and the ones that happened to, they didn't think anything about it. I mean, it just sprayed the whole area, and it kind of came down like a fog. as they remember it. And you didn't think about it killing you, 40 years later or 30 or, 20, 30, 40 years later. Some people have got it early, but we're seeing a lot of effects right now. Like I said, I've had 2 or 3 friends that have passed away because of they think of a chemical reaction to Agent Orange. Yeah, yeah. There's been a lot of tragedy because of Vietnam. I mean, it killed a lot of soldiers straight up, and then unfortunately, it's killing soldiers now uh, in the background, you might say, with cancers and tumors and different effects that it's had on their bodies. And it's tough. I've got a good friend going through that right now. That he's got Parkinson's and everything. Now, I had 2 brothers that had Parkinson's. Of course, they didn't get sprayed with Agent Orange, but they both had Parkinson's. My youngest brother, he was in the military. I don't know if he was exposed to anything in the military or not. We'll never know. He passed away a year and a half ago, but I mean, he died of COVID, but he had Parkinson's too, and it started really wreaking havoc on his body the last 5 or 6 years of his life. And my oldest brother, he's got it, and it's really working tough on him. It's crippled him up. He can barely get around, and it's tough. He's 4 years older than me, and my youngest brother was 4 years younger than me. So it's a really a tragic situation. Yeah, if you got, the VA is working with a lot of them, trying to get them straightened out. Yeah. Yeah, these heavy smokers now, that's a whole different situation. That doesn't help anything, that's for sure. MB96, you're in New Jersey. And you're 26. Okay, well, good. Glad to have you in here. Yeah. Well, I hear my groundhog out here beside my building. I got a groundhog and it's a big one and a couple of small ones, and he is buried underneath my cement, and I hear him out back right now. So I don't have the problem with Ponsatonic Phil. Okay, let me see MB96. Do I think it's good to get into FedEx? Well, yeah. If you're okay, well, I mean, if your father's a FedEx ground contractor, then he ought to know something about it to help you out. I mean, it was a good life for me. I will tell you that. Okay, let's see. You're gonna get that whole truck on the road today, are you, Chris? Yeah. Well, I saw you had your co-driver though. She's a little bit young, but I think you and her can probably get that thing going. Chris had a picture of him and his daughter in his tractor trailer truck. He's got that with a flatbed now. I think he's going to haul his scrap with that. Now, do you have your CDLs, Chris? Or are you going to work off of a farm truck, farm tag? I mean, I've got my 2 big trucks. I've got farm truck tags on them. Yeah. Yeah, if you're on the back roads and if you get caught, whoo, the fine can be horrendous. I'd put a farm tag on that truck regardless if I were you, because you do have a farm and you're legal in North Carolina, at least, we're legal to put a farm tag and tag a big truck, and the insurance is not that bad. The insurance is low. It's like a regular farm pickup truck tag almost. And the tag, I think I paid $300 for the tag, whereas a tractor trailer tag is $1,800. And my tag and insurance and everything for 2 tractor trailer trucks, and the tags, I think I had less than $2,000, if I remember right. Yeah, smash me. Everybody give me my thumbs up there. I could use the thumbs up, that's for sure. That's for certain. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, that you can tag a tractor trailer truck. That tractor trailer truck is just as easily tagged as your F800s and everything else. So if it were me, that's what I would do, Chris. I would definitely tag those, and that way you'd be legal. You don't have to. I don't even think you have to have a fuel tax sticker either. Not as long as you're staying in Kansas or your state. Now, if you go out of state, now all I can do is go 75 miles, uh, and 75 mile per, or maybe it's 150. Might be, it's either 150, and I'm not supposed to cross state lines either. You have to stay in your current state, I believe. That's right. I had to check the regulations, but I never do go out of state anyway. If you go, I'll hire somebody else. But my state's, North Carolina's big anyway. If I can get everything I want done in North Carolina, I'm doing good. Yeah, yeah, and that's a farm tag would help you out, and farm tags have so many exemptions that you don't have to worry about all the regulations that DOT throws on the tractor trailer. I will tell you that. Yeah. Well, if you're out there in the middle of the state and not worrying about things, I would check into it, Chris. I mean, that's what I would do because that's what a buddy of mine was doing, and that's what I had. I lost my CDLs because I couldn't pass the eye test. So you don't have to have CDLs with a farm tag, and a farm tag has so many exemptions. It's the way to go especially for things what you're doing. So I would definitely check it out. Hold on one second. I got to check out this groundhog's making a noise out here. Quiet down out here. Oh me. Oh me, oh my. I'm back. I had to get Punxsutawney Field straightened out there. They're right behind me, making some noise on the other side of the building here. You got full coverage on. Yeah, I mean, you could transfer. I mean, if you already got some farm tags, you could probably just transfer from one to the other as needed. I don't know how many times they'll let you transfer back and forth. I mean, if you don't want to buy a separate tag, I wouldn't just grab it and put it on there and not be insured. I mean, that's you're asking for trouble that way. But I mean, if you legally transfer them, you could do that. Or like I said, they're not that bad expensive. And to take that, I mean, if they get you you're able to do all kind of different things, and especially like you moving the farm machinery, what you were doing, that would be legal. I mean, you're scrapping farm machinery. Just be sure and have a plow or something on there each time. So, you know, if you're doing cars and everything, that could be different things, but you're allowed to do farm work, and basically you're doing farm work with scrapping those old farm equipment and stuff like that. That's farm work. And, you know, this timber, I'm able to do timber. I can do hay. I can do timber. There's all kind of different things, and I can haul equipment too. You know, I can haul my heavy equipment as long as I'm moving it from one place to another that I own. You know, so there's a lot of provisions with it, and it gives you some latitude to do some things. So you know, I'd check into it for sure. Oh yeah, yeah. It's legit. It's legit. It is legit. Yeah. I'm at the MB96 is he's. I wonder if are you still in here? If you are, I'll talk to you. I can talk to you one on one if you want me to. He was talking about the FedEx stuff. I'm not talking much about FedEx this morning. Last week I put it, you know, I was talking some FedEx stuff and put the title up and everything up. And then, then I had somebody that kind of wrote me a nasty thing. Well, that ain't what I wanted you to talk about. And I'm going, oh, you know, it's a live chat. When I'm doing a live chat, I kind of get all over the place doing live chat. So, you know, when somebody watches a replay of a live chat, if you're not saying exactly what they want you to say, some of them get upset. But that's the World Wide Web for you. People do get upset with you, and they you know, you do the best you can do. That's what I do when I do these live chats. I try to be entertaining. I try to come up with subjects. You know, got a lot of the same guys that jump in here every week. They like to chat with each other along with me, and you know, just that's what we do. Uh, I'm not always on point with a specific item, you know. Yeah. So, you know, I hope people understand that when they do see the chat, and you know, sometimes we'll get on and we'll chat about a particular subject. Uh, Doing live chats are wide open. I mean, the world is out there, and there, you know, people are asking questions, and we're talking about this, that, and the other. I mean, I try to stay on the subject sometimes, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll get off onto a different tangent, and like what I'm doing today. I mean, been talking about trees, talking about tools, talking about trucks. Uh, I'm not I'm not bound to any particular thing. I mean, sometimes I try to, but you know, it is what it is. Oh yeah, it's you got to love the Karens out there. That's for sure. We get them male and female, and this whole world is. We've got a lot of crazy things like that. We got Karens. We've got people that uh, don't don't know what race they are, or what sex they are, or what anything. I mean, this gender identity stuff, I don't get it. We had it easy when I was growing up. Boys went to the boys' bathroom, girls went to the girls' bathroom. Men were men, women were women. There were no in between. Now, of course, like everybody's always said, there's always been gay people. I mean, we had the sissy boys and gay boys when I grew up too. I mean, you know, they did their thing. That's fine. Nobody. I don't care. I've always said I don't care who anybody sleeps with. If you want to sleep with your own sex, that's fine. If you want to sleep, you know, heck, you know, long as you're not doing something really weird. I mean, some people get into the sleeping with animals too. So, you know, that's what some people have been accused of. So it's a crazy world. But some people identify as an animal. I heard that about some little girl. They had to put a sandbox in a bathroom because she identified as a furry person. So, we get some crazies out there. Yeah. Yeah. We get, you know, yeah. Don't want to be a sheep herder, do you, James? That's bad. Yeah. But, it's a crazy world out there. Yeah. It's a crazy, crazy world, but I, I think it's funny, all this Bud Light controversy. And I was noticing that even a gay bar in Chicago has turned it down. I mean, even some of the gay people. Well, it's crazy. Right now, nobody, but Budweiser stuck their foot in it's what they did, and they shouldn't have. But it is funny. I don't drink Budweiser. Well, I don't drink beer, so I don't care. I don't care one way or the other about that. I do think that it tells society, don't be too woke. And it's, if you're going to go woke, go broke type situation. And I'm all for that. I mean, if you're trying to inundate people with crazy things, different policies, you take the risk of going broke. If that happens, you did it. Not nobody makes you do that. And that's the crazy thing. Yeah, I know. I think we ought to start boycotting these places that have come up with this woke agenda. I mean, if you're trying to sell me a product, sell me the product. Don't try to sell me your ideology, or theology, or anything like that. Uh, and don't try to influence my children. I mean, that's the other thing. I want my children to learn the world the right way, and instead of being indoctrinated into some crazy doctrine that college professors and different people are doing. Yeah, anyology. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you can do what you want to do. I mean, you can live your life how you want to live it. Just don't tell me that I have to live my life that way. That's the thing about it. I mean, my life is my life. I mean, if I want to stay at home and do my thing, that's fine. If you want to go out and do other things and do wild things or calm, that's your life. I mean, I'm not, my rights stop at the end of my nose. That's what I was taught by a teacher years ago. Your rights stop at the end of your nose. So anything within the person, you have rights to do it, but you can't tell other people what to do. So that's held true for all of my years, and I've always thought that was a good philosophy. So you know, when we get into all this political and social, the political and social have blended or meshed together so badly nowadays. It's really hard to disseminate what people are actually thinking, and you know, it is what it is. But I just don't want, I don't want to be indoctrinated on anything. Uh, like I said, especially some of this woke stuff. I mean, I mean, that's like the climate change people. They've got it like a religion. I mean, I believe that there's all kind of different scientific evidence that yeah, climate is changing some, but it's not so dramatic that uh, I mean, the scientists will figure things out. We don't need to dramatically change overnight and stop the way we do business because a few people think that that's the way we need to do it. I just don't believe that's the way it should be. I mean, we can't make ourselves energy dependent. We need, our nation is strong because we have over the years been energy independent, And we've only lost our way when we've let the Middle East tell us what to do and other countries tell us what to do and then shut down production locally. I mean, those are things that we can't let happen. And we definitely can't go all electric like the crazy energy secretary, that lady, that little gray-headed lady that gets on there and she says, oh yeah, I want the Army to be all electric by 2035. Well, she's an idiot. I want the Army to be strong, and we can't have a strong Army if it's out there looking for a drop cord to charge a tank. I mean, it's not going to happen. And like I've said before, I mean, these idiots don't even realize that the military has gotten by with all this emission stuff anyway. That some of these trucks, people love these old military trucks because they don't have the emissions on them. I mean, they fire up, they got fuel, they got electricity, and they go. And that's what they go. You know, you got spark and fuel is all they're after. They're not after clean air, because if they were worried about that, they'd lose the battle. I mean, your tanks and your big trucks, they've got to be able to sustain all this sand and dust and all these bad situations we put them in. You can't get out there. I mean, you can't say, well, hold on, this tank's it's derated itself, so we're going to have to bring it in and put it on a computer, and we're probably going to have to change out some NOx sensors and a lot of other things, and we're going to have to burn off some carbon. You can't win a war that way. So you got to figure out how to win a war first. Yeah, the old Rudy can do some stuff, that's for sure, Aaron. He's a go-getter. Well, I know it. Yeah, the governor of Michigan is definitely Gretchen Whitmer. She's a nut job. She's a nut job for sure. And I don't, you know, I just don't understand some of these people that live in the thing that gets me, people that are most dependent on the government, who cluster themselves in large cities, are going to be the people that are impacted the worst if climate change, with this climate change stuff and everything else, because everybody else is out here working their keister off, trying to bring product to these big cities, and they don't realize it. I don't think they realize how stuff gets to them. It gets to them on the backs of people that are out there working and that have got trucks that are using diesel fuel and bringing the product to them. It's not coming by electric cars and electric trucks. That's not happening. There's probably less than what, a 0.5% of trucks that are even electric or hybrid in any way. I mean, you'll see some, occasionally you'll see some propane trucks that are run on propane out there, and you'll see some hydrogen a little bit, but they're a very small percentage too. But you won't see an electric truck out there. I mean, Freightliner's working on one. I don't think they've got it in full production yet. Tesla's been working on one for years now, and they're not up to full production. So, and the infrastructure is not there to charge these things. I mean, that's the thing that people don't realize. There is no infrastructure, almost none, to help a truck out if it's on the road. And think about it. Think how close truck stops are now. I mean, when you go down the interstate, you'll see a truck stop every 30 miles, 20 miles. I mean, they're in close proximity to the interstate and, apart from each other, because if a big truck gets in trouble, he's going to have fuel. And, that's the way it is. I mean, we don't have anywhere near that with electricity. And, I just don't understand how people think that we'll be able to do that in a short period of time. I mean, we can almost stop everything else and work solely on that, and we can't get the infrastructure built. I mean, that infrastructure took 100 years to get where we are now. I mean, think about it. It's none of this is overnight. Yeah, Pepsi Cola is one of them that's trying it. I've seen that. I think they took a large delivery of it. And Frito Lay, well, that's part of PepsiCo too, I think. PepsiCo and Frito Lay and all that, they're trying it. And I'm not to say that some of that's not good technology. And I'm seeing some through the web and everything. On YouTube, I've noticed some mid-range trucks that have been doing it, like a dump trucks and some 10-ton, 20-ton trucks, you know, multi-purpose small trucks and that sort of stuff. But nothing to what we really need. But like I said, the infrastructure is just not there yet. I mean, you're not going to be able to pull up to somebody's house and say, "Hey, can you run a drop cord out here?" I mean, it's not going to happen. It takes a huge amount of electricity to recharge some of these big ones because, I mean, you're talking a large battery pack. I mean, I personally have some electric lawnmowers, and it takes a couple hours to get them recharged, and that's just a lawnmower. I mean, can you imagine what it takes to recharge some of these, you know, big structures and everything? Hey, Trucker's Life. I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I like it for portable tools. I like my electric lawnmowers. I mean, I don't have to mess with gas, but it has its drawbacks too. If you know how to handle it, it's fine. Uh, but I mean, if you need it right now and it's not charged, you're going to be waiting a couple hours to get. You can't go down to the local store and just get. Well, I mean, I guess you could if they had batteries available, but it would be very expensive. Right now, I've got that Ryobi, and it's got the battery packs in it. It's the lithium packs. One of those lithium packs, one of them, and it's got three big ones. One of them is, I think, $1,100 or $1,200 just for one battery pack, 100 amp. It looks like a small suitcase, and you slide it down in there. It takes three of those 100 amps, and then I've got four smaller. Well, they're not small; they're 12 amp. They're big Ryobi batteries. Also, it takes four of those, and then three of the 100 amp packs, and it's an 80-volt lawnmower, and it takes me 2 hours to get it back, not to full capacity, but to like a 80 or 90% capacity, so I can mow again. But I mean, it's still convenient for me down here. I mean, I schedule myself, and I know when. I mean, I know I need to plug it up overnight, and it's when I plug it up overnight, I can work for 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours with it, and then I plug it back in, and I can get a couple more hours out of it after it charges back up, and that sort of stuff. And if I wanted to, like I said, I could buy extra batteries. It's just not my nature to want to do that. I'm not that big a hurry, and I don't want to spend uh, the 12 amp batteries. I think they're, gosh, I want to say they're like $500 or $600 a piece. I mean, they're expensive, and I've got four of those, and I got three of those great big ones that, like I said, are like suitcases and everything. But all in all, I mean, those batteries are holding up good. I had the other electric mower that had the regular like golf cart batteries, and that one's not holding. I mean, I'm gonna switch that over to lithium one day, probably myself. It's gonna be expensive, but I'm gonna switch it over to lithium. Yeah, I'm working on the farm down here. I mean, in certain areas. I mean, I can't do everything, Aaron. Uh, I mean, I mow up around the shop here. I mean, it's great. It's a great mower. It's got 3 direct drive electric motors, and then it, of course, it's got the electric uh, drive that drives the lawnmower itself too. So it's got 4 electric motors, I guess you'd say. And I mean, if I just want to drive it around like a golf cart, I can do that. It's pretty fast and everything. So it's not a bad thing to have. I enjoy it, but it's different. But down here, I mean, I don't like gas. I don't mind diesel, but I hate gas tools. I don't know. I'm just spark plugs and gas tools, and I just don't like those. Diesel tools I like a lot better. I can get along with diesel a lot better than I can gas for some reason or other. There's not a lot lower maintenance on it. Well, at least I think it is. I don't know. I mean, I guess they all have their thing, but I get more dependability and strength and everything else off of diesels than I do gas. And gas is just the gas engines are just not my thing for small tools. And I've changed over all my weed eaters, and I mean I got 40 volt and 80 volt. That I've got hole diggers. I've got a good supply of electric tools now. I mean battery operated tools, and I think a lot of you guys do too. I mean it's not a bad thing to have. I mean you getting portable strength. I mean some of these Milwaukee tools are fantastic. Hey, Patrick, how are you? You did make it in. You've been out playing around this afternoon because it's this afternoon of your way. Maybe are you just now getting back from the King's coronation or anything? I figured you're so close, you could just kind of fly over there to England and watch the King coronation yesterday. I didn't watch any of these things. I didn't watch the Kentucky Derby. I didn't watch the King's coronation. I do my own thing. Yeah, I know. I like those 20. I got a lot of the DeWalt tools. I got DeWalt, Milwaukee, Ryobi. Um, Ryobi used to be the really bad one, but Ryobi has really stepped up. And the reason Ryobi and Milwaukee are owned by the same people. I don't know how many people know that, but the uh, the company that owns Milwaukee, they own Milwaukee, they own uh, Ryobi, they own Hart, and there's something else. But anyway, Direct Tools, they got a manufacturing plant down in Greenville, South Carolina. I've been to it. I hadn't actually been in it, but I went to a big sale they had just a month or so ago. I'm gonna have to put that up on air. I got some tools from my wife, and my son and I went down there together because he works not too far from it, and he wanted to go to it. So one couple of Saturdays ago, he and I went to that, and we bought some big Ryobi tools. Pretty nice. I like it. And like I said, Ryobi has really stepped up their game in the past 2 to 3 years, or 3 to 4 years, really. And you'd be surprised how good of equipment that they're coming up with now. Yeah, they had a bad reputation, especially their batteries. Their batteries were junk for years. And some of their battery technology is still not as good as DeWalt and Ryobi. I mean, DeWalt and Milwaukee, some of them. I mean, I wish you could interchange batteries. That's the one thing that really gets me. I mean, this one's got an 18 volt. This one's got a 20 volt. This one's got a 36 volt. This one's got an 80 volt, a 40 volt. I mean, they don't, the tool manufacturers keep enough, this, uh, difference between each other that you can't swap them out. I mean, I'd love to be able to put a Milwaukee battery in a DeWalt tool or vice versa, and you can't do it. I mean, there are some adapters out there that'll let you kind of sneak some of that stuff on. I got an adapter. Which way is it? Well, I got an adapter on the DeWalt that you can use the old 18-volt DeWalts, and you can put a 20-volt battery on it. That sort of stuff. Are you relaxing today? Are you, Patrick? That's good. Yeah, I know that there's all kind of the graphite batteries are, and I hope graphite does good because we own the mineral rights to about, oh gosh, about 1,000 acres of land that's got graphite on. I don't know how much in Alabama, and there's a company that's mining that right now, and our family owns the mineral rights to about 1,000 acres down there. We've been checking on it, so I hope graphite comes comes true because if we have the graphite that they think we might have, uh, I might. Well, I don't know if I'll be rich. Maybe my children will, because we've had this land. My father-in-law had the land. He never made a dime off of it, but we've had it for in the family for 100 years, and maybe one day it'll come through. You got 550 miles today on Iowa. Oh, on 80. Okay. To Gregory, South Dakota. Okay. I don't know where Gregory, South Dakota is. What is that close to? You're not working today, are you, Patrick? Well, I don't blame you. Today is Sunday. If you don't have to work today, don't work today. Sit back and relax and enjoy yourself. I mean, that's the way to do things. I mean, I like being able to kick back a little bit myself and not get involved with too much. I mean, just do my own. And I've trimmed down a lot. I don't. Uh, I do just what I want to do. I mean, I'm in a car club that does some things, but I don't go to everything. I had one of my buddies call me yesterday. Said, "Are you going to the car show in Kings Mountain?" I said, "No." I said, "The wife has plans for me on Saturdays, so I don't do that." And I go to the car shows that are local. I like to get as you can see back behind me. Let me get out of the way a little bit. There's my little coupe. That's my 31 right there. I know if y'all regulars to the channel, you might have seen the one that I put up with the car show a couple of weeks ago that we had over in Lincoln. I go to those in Lincoln, and I go to those up here in Cherryville, Shelby, look, maybe Kings Mountain and Bessemer, just within 10 miles of here. But I don't like to go way off, and I don't like to spend all my free time on doing things like that. Well, you gotta go where the people will treat you right. That's for sure. So I hope you're getting good work in. There's good work out most places. If you do quality work, people will find you. That's what I always feel like. I mean, you do enough good quality work, the word gets out who's good, and you know you can stay employed by just putting your nose to the grindstone and working hard and doing the right thing. I mean, I saw my business take off by doing things like that, just working hard, by just getting out and doing a good job, and get rewarded for doing a good job. And that's the way I worked. It worked for me, and I think it works for a lot of people. I mean, if you sit back and you're complacent on anything, I don't care what it is, if you're turning tools, if you're driving a truck, if you're whatever you're doing, if you're complacent and don't try to put out good quality work, you won't succeed. Hey, Joy, finally made it in here, did you, Joy? Usually you're the first, and here you are toward the last, aren't you? Well, Patrick, uh, age will give you knowledge because you're experiencing different things. I didn't, I've learned a lot over the years by listening to other people, some more mature people. I've learned a lot and experienced a lot. Experience will give you knowledge. I mean, that's one thing for certain. I mean, if you sit back and don't do anything, you won't get the experience and you won't have the knowledge. If you get your hands on it yourself and you actually do the deed yourself, you'll learn how to do different things. I don't care what it is, whether it's being a mechanic, whether it's being a welder, a truck driver, a, a, a school teacher, anything. If once you get your foot in the door and you actually do the job, you'll more than likely get better at it day after day after day. I mean, I know the first day that I was a yard switcher, I was probably the worst there was out there, but I got better at it by repetitive work and your motor skills, your your if you're doing hands-on work, will get better. I mean, you'll know what works and you'll know how to do things easier each and every time. I mean, it's just better. I mean, race car drivers are the same way. I mean, they aren't born with the knowledge to know how to drive a race car. They learn how to drive a race car. Some are better than others. Some of them have, better skill set than others. I mean, people learn at different paces, and you'll see some that get anything natural. I mean, I've seen people that weld really great, and I go, man, I'd love to be able to weld that good. And they seem to catch on so quick and everything else. But if you're not that good, you have to be persistent and continue to learn and build your skills yourself, uh, regardless of what it is. And you know, don't be ashamed to learn from anybody. Young people can teach an older person something. I mean, think about that and computer technology. You always see how the young people migrate to computers and electronic things real quick. And the older generation, it scares them because that skill has passed them by. And I've always tried to stay on top of, particularly that part. I feel pretty confident with my ability with computers and everything at my age, a lot better than other people my age. And because some of them uh, they didn't want to mess with it. They didn't want to. When it came about, it's sort of like, well, we'll not worry about that. And I'm the type that says we better jump in there and find out about it right now, because if not, it's going to pass you by. And it has for my generation. There's a lot of people my age that have little or no knowledge of computers. They know how to turn them on and maybe do a few things on it, but they don't know the inner workings of the computer. They wouldn't know how to set up a router or set up an internet service or all kind of different things. And those are skill sets that you need to learn. Now, there's plenty of skill sets that I do not know that I wish I did. I mean, I'd love to be able to do all the CAD work that's required on these computers to do things with my plasma. My grandson can do it, but I can't do it, not myself. Now I'm getting confused. Now, my name is Nobody and Patrick are both in. Now, my name is Nobody Now, who is that, Patrick? I thought Patrick had that moniker too. Am I missing out on something here? Okay, my name is nobody is Patrick. Well, Heavy Machinery is Patrick too, right? Are you on there in two different ways? Have you got two different sign-ins? I'm getting confused, Patrick. One of two. Not two in the same. Well, Heavy Machinery is Patrick from Austria, right? Now, my name is nobody. It's which Patrick? Where is that Patrick from? Yeah, Heavy Machinery is the Austrian legend. Now, my name is nobody is which Patrick? Now, where are you from? You're not from Austria too, are you? And we used to have Heavy Tool out here, and that was Phil, and I haven't seen him out here forever. He's kind of dropped off the internet. I used to have Heavy Machinery and Heavy Tools both on here at the same time. Well, I know Chicago's not in Austria. Is nobody? My name is nobody. Is that okay? Now wait a minute. My name is not. Now that's not Patrick though, is it? Am I confusing that with? Yeah, I've tried to. I've tried to get a hold of Phil myself. I used to have his cell phone. Well, I've got his cell phone number, but I can't get him to answer it. So I don't know. I don't know what's happened in Phil's life. He just dropped out of sight as far as the internet is concerned. I would imagine he's still working his trade and everything. It is what it is. Yeah, it is. It's sad when we lose some of the people on the internet. I mean, there's a couple of them that are not showing up to. Phil's not getting on the air anymore, and also even Justin Sturgill, who has a big channel, he hasn't been on in about 4 or 5 months. People I think get wary of the internet sometimes. It's not a huge money maker for a lot of people, and some people make good money off of it, and they're on there regular, but other people, I think it gets to be a drudgery to them, and they just well, I hadn't seen that. Agtech's been on here. I hadn't seen him in a while. He must be busy. But he used to get on here fairly regular. And Fleet Tech both. Fleet Tech out of Atlanta. I haven't heard from him in a month or so. But some people don't want to get on. They got other things to do. Yeah. Well, I mean, things are like that. Things are like that. It's just, uh, you know, life changes for everybody. And the main thing is not to get down on yourself, Patrick, is to don't let depression of any sorts, whether if you're depressed about your business or you're depressed about uh, your personal life or whatever. People have a lot of forms of depression. Thank goodness I've never had uh, many bouts of depression. I've had a little bit. I had some medication one time that I forgot why I was on that medication, but it got me depressed worse than anything I'd ever had. And I didn't know it would cause that until my wife was reading some of the side effects, and depression was one of them. And that medicine actually gave me I mean, I was literally, I told her I was sitting at home and I felt like I wanted to cry. I wasn't, but I felt that way. And she was concerned about it and got to studying the medicine. She said, "You need to get off of that." And I did. I mean, I went off that medication. We talked to the doctor about something else. I said, this is not helping me mentally. And, a chemical imbalance with people can really affect the way their lives are. Uh, so your body itself can make chemical imbalances, I think, and people and the body is complicated. And I'm glad that I don't seem to be in that clique, that I'm not chemically imbalanced in any way. Uh, well, and that and that uh, that's something that you'll have to work at getting over, Patrick. Uh, you can let your life. I mean, you've got to do things that make you feel good. I mean, whether it's working, whether it's a social thing. I mean, socially, when you're young, uh, you can get depressed thinking that the world's passing you by, and it's not. It's not. The world's not passing you by, though. You can make the best of every situation, I feel like. But, it can be tough. Well, yeah, it can get carried away. I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not. I'm not a doctor in any way, shape, or form. But I've seen different people go through different bouts, and you can see people that are physically disabled in some way, and they can have a more positive attitude than people that are not physically disabled. I mean, I would, and as we grow, we all have different disabilities. I mean, can't see as good out of this left eye as I used to. And I went totally blind for a while until I had it operated on. And that was very life changing for me. Of course, then again, I've had my heart attack and the bypass surgery uh, associated with that. And then one of the bypass veins clogged back up. So I have to deal with that. And I can't get around as good anymore. But I try not to let that depress me. I mean, I know that my time on earth is limited. I know what everybody's is. But I mean, I know mine is probably I'm more near to death than a lot of the young people because I'm in my 70s. And, uh, I realize that's coming about, but I'm still have a lot of things I want to do, and I want to be positive, and I want to do everything that I possibly can do. I don't want to sit back and do nothing. So that's kind of the way I look at life, and I hope you will too. I mean, I had a teacher that told me, he gave me a saying. I don't know where he got it from, but some smart person came up with the one that says, you have to live your life, live it. You got to live your life like you may die tomorrow, but you got to work like you're going to live forever. So, in other words, this could be the end, just like that. So you want to live to be the best person you can be. You want to live that way, but you got to work and prepare like you're going to live forever, because you don't want to be, uh, shortchanged in any way. So that I always felt like that was a good philosophy, that, you're going to live like you're going to die tomorrow, but you got to work like you're going to live forever. And that has been a good philosophy. And I've always kind of lived my life that way, because you want to continue to work and prepare for any kind of tragedy that could come about. And you want to continue. I mean, I'm retired, but I don't quit. I'm retired, and but I don't just sit back and do nothing. Now I do a lot less because of my physical abilities now, but I still don't do nothing. I mean, even what we're doing right here with, talking on the internet. Uh, I mean, it's something. I mean, I hope I'm conveying some information that is good for some people. So that's what I do. But I've talked too much today, hadn't I? It's already 10. I've been on here about an hour and a half. Way too long. Way too long. Way too long. So I'm gonna probably get off. I am gonna get off. Not probably, because my wife would be wondering where I'm at. So I'm gonna go do that. And actually, I'm going to the house to watch church. I've been watching my church online. I really like that. So y'all take care. I'll see y'all out here another day, and hopefully I'll be able to get some things done. See you around.